first and foremost, absolutely. What we see is that employees tend to be the weakest link in the cybersecurity chain. And that all points back to just improper training. You don't know what you don't know. So leveraging a security awareness training tool that, will keep your staff updated with cyber threat and things that they need to do. Proper email behavior, how to spot a potential ransomware attack in an email, not letting people tailgate you through doors, things like that. And there are tools out there. Wizer is one, that's Wizer. Know Before is another great security awareness tool that's out there. That's probably the 800-pound gorilla out there. But these are tools that you can schedule automated training for your entire staff. It can go out monthly, and then you can actually monitor who's doing well, who's failing, why they're failing, and provide that person with more training. Really, the most important first step is instilling a proper training regimen to keep your staff, your team up to speed on the proper do's and don'ts of working online, working, in digital systems, email, so on and so forth. So yes, absolutely. The staff and employees do represent, probably the weakest link in that cybersecurity chain. So it really all starts proper training. It's just a great best practice to have.
I went to a white hat hacker seminar, and he talked about the ways of hacking systems. And so people were asking, well, what's the number one way that you hack systems? Like, what kind of tools do you use? Are you using, brute force attacks? Like, what's like the technical detail? And he goes, I just ask. I walk into an employee and I just ask.
Yeah.
And he described like a scenario. He sets up a whole scenario. He's going to be in trouble if he doesn't log into the system. He forgot the password. He's going to lose his job. And he has a whole story behind it, but he social engineers the individual.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And to kind of piggyback on that, what we're seeing, at least through the ransomware chains, is that these attackers are doing a lot more research to really understand, the behavioral patterns of the user that they're trying to emulate, right? Their graphics, how they speak, et cetera, is going to be dialed in, right? And it's going to make it very difficult to spot if it's ransomware or not. So again, having that consistent training is going to be of the utmost importance.